Paying off debt was one of the hardest things I've done, but it's also been one of my biggest accomplishments. Hi, I'm Marissa with DollarSprout, and today I'm sharing my debt-free story of how my husband and I paid off $87,000 of student loan debt in 2.5 years. So it all started when I decided to go to college, and as a 17-year-old deciding on which university I wanted to attend, I applied to a few different schools, but I had my heart set on attending a private Christian university. And even though I got some academic scholarships, the scholarships I received and the money we had was not enough to cover the cost of school. But because I was so excited about going to the school and had my heart set on it, I decided to go and take out a bunch of student loan debt to get there. So fall of my freshman year of college, I started out working on my accounting degree, and about halfway through my freshman year, I began to realize just how expensive college was going to cost me. And I know that this is silly, but I was so caught up in the excitement of going to college that I just didn't really care about the cost. But once I was realizing that I was going to be responsible for paying off all the student loans I was taking out, it began to be a little scary. My university also offered a personal finance class that you could take credit for, and my husband and I, who was just my boyfriend at the time, ended up taking it together when we were in college. And that class really got us thinking about the changes that we needed to make now to be able to become debt-free as soon as possible. And looking back, I am so thankful that we got to take this class together because it really got us on the same page about money before we were even engaged. And so I decided to make some adjustments to my college career while I was still in school. Thankfully, I came into college with some college credits from high school, so I was able to use those and also take some online classes over the summer to get 1 year ahead, meaning that I would graduate a year early, which saves on a year's worth of tuition. I also decided to work over the summers. So my first summer between college, I worked my high school job. I went back to working at a frozen yogurt shop. But for my second summer in college, I actually had a really great accounting internship. I worked there full time and saved every dime that I could and put it towards my tuition in the fall for my senior year. My senior year of college, I also was able to save a lot of money by signing up to be a resident assistant. This gave me a great scholarship, and it ended up that I barely had to take out any student loans my senior year because of the money that I had earned during the summer to apply towards tuition, and also the scholarship that I received from being an RA. At the beginning of my senior year of college, while I was a resident assistant, I also got engaged to my now husband, Jacob. So it was definitely a crazy season of life as I was engaged, planning a wedding, and also finishing my third year of college, which was my senior year. So that May, I ended up graduating with my degree in business accounting, and a couple days after graduation, I started my first big girl accounting job. And 2 months after that, I ended up getting married, and my husband, Jacob, and I had a combined $80,000 of student loan debt by the time we were married and graduated college. But even though we started off our marriage with so much student loan debt, we were able to pay it off in 2.5 years. And here are the things that we did to help us pay off debt so quickly. So while we were in this season and just starting our careers, we definitely made some sacrifices. The first one being we rented a small 1-bedroom apartment for our first year of marriage. It was nothing fancy. Actually, I had quite a few moisture issues, which I would not recommend, but it ended up getting us through our first year of marriage. We also took public transportation. Our employer was downtown and they offered a free transit pass, and so we used that to be able to commute in and out of work every day. It ended up saving us hundreds of dollars on gas each month, and while it was not the most ideal way to get to work as it took a really long time, it was totally free. We also drove old cars. I drove a 98 Camry and my husband Jacob was driving a 2001 Tacoma, and we actually drove those cars up until a couple months ago after we had been debt-free for about a year and a half. In a season of life where all of our friends were going out and buying new cars, we were still driving our old cars, but that's okay because it was a sacrifice we were making so that we could pay off our loans as soon as possible. We also didn't do any extras like going out to eat or going on vacation. In our budget, we put a little bit of money towards eating out, and by a little bit, I mean like $25 a month, which meant we got to go to Chipotle together. But that was pretty much all of the extra spending that we did. We did not go on any vacations during our debt-free journey, but we definitely have been able to go on some since we've been debt-free. We budgeted, and I think that this is one of the best things we did on our debt-free journey. We started our debt-free journey, and at that time, we didn't really know anything about budgeting. In fact, our first few budgets as a married couple weren't actually budgets. We were just kind of tracking where our money was going, and over time, I started to love budgeting. It's a habit that I got into while we were on our debt-free journey, and I think it's because it took something so serious as having $80,000 of student loan debt for us to realize that we had to be telling our money where to go. Budgeting helped us to give a plan for our money, and we also tracked it as the month went on. And while budgeting was key in helping us to get out of debt, it is still something that we do today while we're working on other sorts of savings goals. Another thing we did is that we focused on our needs. It was really important for us during our debt-free journey to focus on our needs rather than our wants. And we were able to identify needs as food, shelter, transportation, and basic clothing. And as long as all of those were covered, then we were okay. So anytime we wanted to make a purchase, we had to look at it through that lens of, is this a need or is it a want? And during the season, we are definitely more focused on our needs. We did give ourselves a little bit of permission to spend in our budget with allocating a little bit of money towards wants, like personal spending money or entertainment, but it definitely wasn't a lot. This helped us to be able to cut expenses and only buy things that we truly needed. Although we were able to get creative and find fun, free things that we could do, whether that was hiking or game nights with friends, there were definitely things that we got to do and we still were able to enjoy life even while on a debt-free journey. We also meal planned to save money at the grocery store, and this is something that we still do today. But every week I take a look at what we have in our pantry and in the fridge of what items maybe need to be used up, and I sit down and come up with a meal plan for the week. I try to find meals that we can do that will use up things that we already have, and also things that have fewer ingredients and ingredients that can be used for multiple meals. And then I'll create my grocery list and take that with me to the store. This has saved us so much money on our grocery budget, and it's also helped us to limit our food waste. And the last crazy thing that we did to cut expenses, and this one was pretty big, we moved in with my parents for a year. So coming up on our first year wedding anniversary, we were also finishing out our first year apartment lease, and our rent was going up substantially. And so instead, my parents, they knew that we were trying to pay off student loans. They invited us into their house for a year so that we could finish paying it off even faster. So we still paid my parents rent, but just a smaller amount. And doing this, we were able to put so much more money to our debt. It was definitely a sacrifice that we made as we were still newlyweds, and also a sacrifice for my parents, but ended up working out really well for us, and I'm very thankful that we had the opportunity to move in with my parents and get our loans paid off even faster. Another thing we did is that we increased our income. So during our debt-free journey, we were just starting out our careers and we weren't making a lot of money, and even though we were cutting expenses, we knew that we still had to increase our income if we really wanted to see results. So we started doing side hustles and also working on increasing our income at our day jobs to allow more money for paying off our debt. I took on a side hustle of doing social media management for a small business, and my husband did a few sort of handyman jobs that he was able to find in Facebook community groups. We didn't make a whole lot, but it was nice to bring in some extra cash that went straight to our debt. We also worked on increasing our day job income by actually changing jobs so that we could have greater earning potential. By doing these things, it took us 2.5 years to pay off a total of $87,000 of combined student loan debt, and we had a household income of between $66,000 to $71,000 a year. We were then debt-free by the ages of 23 and 26, and we now have the rest of our lives ahead of us to live how we want to because we don't have debt standing in our way. It was one of the hardest things that we've done in our marriage thus far, but definitely one of our biggest accomplishments. My husband and I have been debt-free for about 1.5 years now, and between paying off debt and now, we have seen greater increases in our income. We've moved out from my parents' house, and we live in our own apartment that we absolutely love. We've been able to go on vacations like Disneyland and Hawaii. We've been able to upgrade our cars a little bit to a 2013 Corolla and a 2006 Honda Pilot. We've increased our wants categories like personal spending and eating out, all while still being able to accomplish other financial goals like saving for an emergency fund, retirement contributions, and saving for a down payment on a house. While the debt-free journey was hard, I am very thankful that we started working on it as soon as we got married. because it helped to establish financial principles like budgeting and saving money that we now use today. So that is all I have for this video. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about me and my debt-free journey. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to the DollarSprout YouTube channel for more money videos, and leave us a comment down below and let us know where you're at in your debt-free journey. Are you working on paying off debt, or are you debt-free? And with that, we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.